All right. Hello. My name is
Hello.
Callie Ravati, and this is Tabitha. We are introducing ourselves to the YouTube world as Astro Alchemy. I am a astrologer. I'm a Western astrologer, and I practice with the whole sign house system using the tropical zodiac, which starts with the vernal equinox using Aries as a starting point. And Tabitha, I'm so excited to have a partner in this process. I would love to have Tabitha now come on and introduce herself and tell the world of what you do.
Well, I'm so excited to be here and to partner with you. I am an energy worker. I work with a variety of energies, plant energies, crystal energies, universal energies. And I have been interested in astrology since I was like 10. So I am not the expert that Callie is, but I can go into my little bag of astro resources, and I think we're both just really excited about this podcast.
Yes, we are here on Halloween today, and we thought it would be a wonderful starting point. Um, a little bit about me: I am a balsamic moon. That's the natal phase that I was born into, and Halloween is pretty emblematic of this time of year as well, so it's very fitting. We've been working on this for over a month now, but our collaboration started over a year ago, and we just bonded on so many different modalities, and we came together kind of at the right time. There's been so much going on in the world, and so much shifts and changes that I've been seeing in the astro world and the celestial bodies that I just couldn't take it anymore. I had too much that I needed to share. And I'm so honored to be sharing this space with Tabitha. We're going to be going through all signs today, about the lunar eclipse that will be happening in Taurus coming up on November 8th. And the new moon eclipse, so the solar eclipse that happened a few days ago, was very, very difficult on the physical body. Moon in Scorpio is the place of the moon's fall. And I got sick the day that the new moon eclipse happened. And I feel like I'm in the underworld as it is. The darkness is increasing. And I just wanted to open it up to you, Tabitha, if you've noticed any shifts lately, even archetypally of from
Yeah,
your standpoint as well.
absolutely. I didn't have any big physical things happen. I noticed a lot of like tiredness, lethargy, like needing to sleep in a little in the mornings. And I actually today was very cognizant of the fact that I am, and again, the moon is waxing now, so that could have, something to do with it. But I am definitely like increasing in energy. Like I'm back on the upswing, like I'm not, feeling as down anymore. But it was a positive time for me in terms of like things coming together and synergy, and like I noticed a lot of synchronicities. So it was more of a it wasn't like a negative, like a purge in the negative sense. Like it was more of like that alchemical magic of like things like shifting in a good way.
Oh, yes, I completely understand, which is why I'm happy we're doing our talk now as the moon is waxing and is going towards that first quarter phase. Since once the full moon does peak, uh, I'm not exactly sure how I'll be feeling on those days, like hugging on either side. So again, I got sick on the new moon, and I my energy has been steadily increasing, but I'm so excited to be here with you today. I am going to put up the actual transits
All
of
right.
what's happening right now. Here we go. And can you see that?
I can.
So this is what's happening right now. A few days ago, Jupiter ingressed into Pisces going retrograde, which is really, really lovely and beautiful. I'm a Pisces rising, so that's really, really uh been positive for my physical body. I did start to feel
Mhm.
better once Jupiter ingressed back in, but I also felt that mixture of Neptune getting bigger as well. Again, 2 days ago, Mars went retrograde. So that is very intimate to what's happening in the Scorpio season that we're in right now, which will
Mhm.
come into play because that is the ruler of Scorpio. So the fact that it's retrograde and the fact that Mars cannot see Scorpio is also an added influence to this upcoming lunar eclipse. There is, however, a mutual reception between Mercury and Mars. So that gives a little bit of a telephone line to both of those houses. So
Okay.
mercurial elements are intact during this phase. So I'm just going to move ahead to November 8th. While I'm doing that, we're also going to be doing some intuitive work with herbs and crystals and things that Tabitha is really, really amazing at.
Mhm.
Um, Again, she
Well,
has
thank you
so
for
many.
saying that. That's very
Yeah,
sweet.
she. I have so much interest in these elements as well, but you have the crown when it comes to this, and I will definitely be watching for your intuition when it comes to astrology as well.
Yes, I do work very intuitively, even in my energy work sessions. Like it's just kind of whatever comes through. Um, so we'll see what comes up tonight, what comes up in the moment.
Yeah, so we will be doing, we'll be invoking some plant energies, and we will be doing some intuitive work and some card readings for all of the
And
signs.
actually, I'm sure you probably have like cleared space on your end, but
Actually, that's a really good idea. I'm just gonna stop the
oh,
share and
okay.
come back so we can actually do that if you'd like.
Oh, okay. Because I did it before we got started, and I was just gonna share what I used.
Oh, yes. Please do.
Now, are you still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good.
I thought you'd stop for a second.
Nope.
So I cleared the space here before I started with, and kind of the in line with Scorpio season, I chose to clear with water. And so I used two hydrosols, one Artemisia, which has a very similar scent to sage. And then I also used a frankincense and Frangonia or Fragonia. I always want to add an extra N in there. It's Fragonia, frankincense and Fragonia hydrosol as well. Both of these are from Still Point Aromatics. Um, and this is not a sponsored video, but I just love them. And so I cleared my space with those. And the reason I said it's a very Scorpio thing to do is because Scorpio is associated with the water element. So clearing with actual water, hence having that Scorpio association.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea just to tap into what the elements are. Like Scorpio is water. It's also really, really deep water. It's the point in
Mhm.
which the time of year that the light, it's darkening of the dark. So the time of year where not only is it dark, but it's getting
Mhm.
darker and there is this depth. That's why it's associated with depth psychology. I'm just getting my sage going as well.
I always think of the saying "still waters run deep" when I think of Scorpio, because it's that also that like emotional depth, you know?
It's so funny that you say that because my best friend who is a Scorpio rising Mars in the first house, she says that often. And I it's so funny that you say that because it does ring true. But on the polar axis, Taurus is Earth. So this is all fixed signs and it has the nodes that have been cycling through and that changeover that happened last year when the first out of sign eclipse happened, that that really, really, really initiated this stronger essence of Taurus and Scorpio energy. sprinkled throughout the year because it is a 6-month process that these
Mhm.
lunar eclipses go through. The solar eclipses being more masculine in that how their energy presents itself, it's faster, it's more active. And the 6 months that follow this eclipse cycle, it will be more of a process. So the plant energies and the things that we'll be moving through intuitively today will hopefully assist you through the process as we shift and we change because the planet of change is associated, has been hanging out with this node for a while, Uranus. The day that Mars entered Taurus, since it's very martial themed, the day that Mars entered Taurus, where the nodes are and where Uranus is, there was a complete blackout of all communications where I am in Toronto. So it's just interesting how these energies and the flashes and the change. And Uranus is also the planet that I see of healing, of like that sudden healing, like that
Mhm.
miracles and that Reiki energy. So many
Right.
people's charts that I've read for Uranus transits have coincided when they received their initiation or received the symbols.
Oh, interesting.
Uh,
I'll have to go back and look at my chart.
yeah,
That would
exactly.
be fascinating to see.
Yeah, so we were able to pinpoint that, but also Uranus oppositions are at midpoint of life. So there's a lot of sometimes physical body shifts and changes that Uranus can play in with this. So just wanted to give a background of the energies that are
Mhm.
going on. And you said something in one of our meetings before this talk about how the throat
Mhm.
and how Scorpio, Taurus, and Scorpio being polar opposites of each other,
Mhm.
how one correlates with the throat, and of course, Scorpio relates to the sexual organs. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that because that really, really that struck me.
Yeah, well, no, I was just it's interesting because this has come up several times in the last few days. I I was thinking about it and then I was taking part in an astrological a call. It was like a group call where it came up and then it came up again in another session. And I thought, oh, this is so interesting. And then the power of three, right? So
Yes,
yeah, so there is, let me see if I can find, like, I won't share this let me look it up first and find a good image.
oh,
And
no
then I'll see if
problem.
I can do a share. And actually, I wanted to, like, we're talking about on an intuitive level, I wanted to inquire also, what are you choosing to clear your space with this evening?
I am choosing white sage. I
Okay.
have some beeswax candles. I also have rose incense that I have going as well. I've been working with rose for about 6 months,
Mhm.
probably even longer, just having roses in my space because of the high frequency. I also have a salt lamp on right now. I have some rose quartz, and I also have some blue kyanite for the throat as well. Taurus as well is involved in becoming in. I also have some black kyanite as well by my side for grounding.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we really between all of that have all of the elements covered, water, fire, earth, and air,
Yes.
because you need the oxygen to fuel the fire. So,
Yes, exactly. Also, I look forward to hearing you talk more about the white storm rose as well.
yeah, we'll definitely get into that. And I've got some stones as well for communication and for um, amplifying the voice in terms of teaching and things like that. So we're both kind of thinking the same thing. But I'll go ahead and do a screen share. So
Beautiful.
what I was sharing with Callie the other day is that there are similarities, and you can see it here between the vocal cords and the cervix. And when I was mentioning this initially, recently, I wasn't even thinking about the Taurus Scorpio connection or that the two of those are polarities and that the eclipse, it just like came up organically, which is really beautiful. But that the eclipses have been, pinging back and forth between these two signs. But you can see here the similarities between the throat, the vocal cords, and the cervix, being found in the pelvic bowl. So that Taurus and Scorpio being reflected, and also here in the larynx and the actual uterus, well, the whole system here, uterus,
Wow.
cervix, vagina, so the entire yoni, really, because the yoni encompasses rather the entire area.
Yes. And it's
Yeah.
interesting that you bring this up as well because I'm also a musician and a vocal practitioner. And the voice, as it warms up and we express ourselves and we're singing full voice, those areas and there's techniques that are involved where we have to be relaxed and open in those areas as well as we're breathing and we're interacting and we're staying open and full.
Mhm.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to also mention that Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is in Scorpio, which is far away from home for her. So there's some essential dignity that we will be going into. So Venus in Scorpio, Mars ruled sign, she's uncomfortable there, but she's also very sexual and she's
Mhm.
obsessive and she's in this dark dark place,
Yeah.
but she has this energy about her
Mhm.
that is not afraid to express her sexuality and get what she wants. And
And conversely, if someone has experienced sexual trauma, a lot of times their voice, like if you listen to the way that they speak. So my original background is in clinical psychology before I spent many years in healthcare and then transitioned to this whole other way of helping people and healing. But the voice of people who have been through that type of trauma, oftentimes, they have difficulty either speaking in a full voice, like it sounds almost like a little child speaking, or the volume's not really amplified. It's almost like they're speaking in a whisper. And so the same thing that you're saying, like with this goddess energy and like the expression, like the reverse of that can also be true if
that
there's
is
trauma involved.
that is so interesting that you say that because we're talking Venus and we're talking about some of these deeper emotions and psychology and she's away from her home sign, which is pleasure and being of the earth, and she's sort of removed and deeply underwater, and maybe she doesn't have that voice to express maybe hurt that she's experienced sexually. So there's that energy that's going on, but Mercury in there, hopefully helping with this communication line between the rulerships, I think. And as well, during that day, there's going to be a Mercury Cazimi as well. So looking for
Mm.
that empowerment in the voice or empowered communication or an announcement on that day, just in the mundane scope. And again, looking for themes of um, communication and what are you desiring and are you feeling like you can't say what you actually want or desire
Mhm.
or are things that have hurt you in the past that have to do with the darker or deepness or even sacred are those things coming up to the surface. And I also wanted to speak that my generation of when I was born, I have Pluto natally at around 10 degrees of Scorpio. So people that are born 5 years on either side of me will be experiencing some Pluto as well. So it's extra deep, extra psychological as well.
Mhm.
So there's people might be feeling some Pluto or death or transformations that are coming through at this time. So again, this is a 6 month process that we'll be going into.
And so for some of our viewers who might be a little bit newer to astrology, do you want to just tell them what a Kazemi is?
Oh, I would love to. So, Akazemi means in the heart of the sun. So, the sun is sort of like a malefic in the sense that the rays of the sun, like how when you get too close to the sun, it's like having sunburn, like you get like burned up by the sun. But when a planet is within 1 degree and 17 minutes in parallel, it's sort of supercharged and it has this armor on and it's having this deep conversation with the sun at that point. If one of the planets is in their own sign, are what's called in their chariot, but none of the planets that are hanging out in Scorpio right now are within their own sign. So Mercury and Venus are faster moving planets and they move in and out of the sun's evening star and morning star position quite often. Um, and when they do come close to the sun, there's a couple of days or 1 day or a few hours in this time period where their archetypal energies, how they express themselves, get supercharged and they're out of the beam of the sun's influence in that sense. So for Mercury, that means that there's an announcement or there's higher forms of communication. The last Kizimi that I experienced, I got tons of downloads. My writing flew off out of my hands, out of my body, just everything flowed so beautifully, and luckily I had time in that day to enjoy that energy. So we'll be
Mhm.
giving you times where you can give yourself permission to rest or make decisions about whether or not you do want to say yes, so to going out or doing things, because you may not have that instinct, and sometimes we have pressure and all of these outside influences, and there's so many distractions and so much technology that can pull us away from our focus. And so hopefully we can give you tools today and talk about the energies that for the next couple of months. And we'll be tuning in with you more regularly now, now that you're getting to know us a little bit better.
And I
Um,
think just one thing to impress upon you at this point would just be to really follow your instincts, like listen to your body. If you need more rest one day, do that. If you're feeling, more exuberant or things are coming through and you feel called to write things down, just like follow the things that are coming through, even if you at this point don't recognize it as intuition, to start to listen to those feelings, to that voice, to those sensations in your body. And the more you listen, the better you'll be able to hear and then follow that guidance.
Absolutely.